Hello.
Do your video.
Doing a video.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. There we go. All right.
All right. Hey, we're live.
All right, cool.
That was a quick transition. That was fantastic.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words. Really appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Most definitely. Got a little bit of audio feedback here. Just a moment.
All right. All right.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey, thanks again, Matt.
Yeah, my pleasure.
That was awesome. That was amazing.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure to be a part, and thank you, all of you guys, for all the tech work and the invitation and everything. I know it's not easy over there.
Oh yeah, it was our pleasure putting it together, man. The people loved you. You're really inspirational. How long have you been playing piano?
I've been playing piano my whole life, but it was classical. Like most people started off in classical. So I came to boogie woogie later in life as an adult. But I've been doing boogie woogie, blues, and jazz stuff for the last 17 years, I want to say. So yeah, it's been a long while now.
How old were you? Like when you got started, were you like 5 years old, like 4? What?
Yeah, 5 years old informally, because I had parents, or particularly people on my mother's side, that were musical or played a little bit of piano. So informally, they started me at 5. But I think I was in formal lessons by 6, certainly by 7. Which is that's a typical age for piano lessons.
That's awesome. Do you have like any like official recordings? Have you gone in to the studio and made any recordings?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time I did some work in a studio was I did a 2-volume CD. Like it was a lot of numbers. I want to say it was 24 or 26 tracks. So
wow,
it took a while, but that was maybe a couple summers ago, but somebody told me that CD Baby has shut down, because I sell them through CD Baby, and
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't verified that, but
So does that mean that like, did they pull your music off of? They distributed it onto like the platforms and everything. Is it still there?
I haven't verified it, but there's another guy that he does a similar thing. I guess they've just cut down the staff so much that they can't keep up with selling in their traditional fashion. Or at least maybe they're still just doing maybe just digital downloads. But yeah, you can find me on CD Baby as the Boogie Woogie Kid, and some of these numbers you heard. Probably, I would guess, it's probably for digital download only these days. So
Yeah.
So Matt,
sorry,
Max, can you guys hear me okay?
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hey, just real quick, for those of you that are just joining us for this live interview with the Boogie Woogie Kid, I just wanted to do a quick introduction. You just witnessed a performance by the Boogie Woogie Kid. Matthew Ball is his name. Couple of just really cool things out of the gate. 4.5 million YouTube views, and he's played all over the world. And we're really thankful and grateful that he's come here today to talk to us. And we're going to find out some deep and dark secrets about Matthew Ball and his boogie woogie piano acumen. That was an amazing performance, man. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
So I actually, Max kind of alluded to it already, but going back to when you started playing, clearly you've been playing for a long time. But I'm actually really interested in the part as the second career thing, because something happened in 2001 is our understanding from your bio. Yeah. And it'd be really cool just to hear, because I think there's a lot of people listening that, aspire to do music for a living. And
Yeah.
obviously that's a challenge right now, but we think there'll be another time when we can get back to some sense of normalcy. But take us back to 2001. Can you share with
Sure.
us that transition and what that was all about?
Yeah, that was well said. So I had gone to college, with a passion for music and studied music, and at the end of college, kind of got scared because the typical or conventional thinking is you either can be a starving artist or something else in life. But so I diversified anyway. I went to law school and became an attorney, and I was just miserable doing that. And around that time, I went to this Boogie Woogie and Blues Festival. Back then, there were these well-funded events from the car companies, and then they went away because of the financial collapse in 2008. But they were great inspiration for me because I saw people, doing this stage performance, this little niche of jazz that I felt had a really broad demographic appeal, which has borne itself out because you can play boogie woogie for 2-year-olds as well as 92-year-olds, and it's something that animates people. It's just an infectious style. But so at that point, I said, I gotta try to be happy in life rather than plug in 30 years and just be utterly miserable. And it's one compromise after another until you just have no sense of identity or integrity left going down this path, making a living doing something that you just feel that you don't belong in. And music always resonated with me. And this boogie woogie and blues stuff, something that I always wanted to play, but it was never accessible because they don't teach it in schools. Even today, the jazz programs around, they're not inclusive of blues and boogie woogie. Of course, you can see that pretty easily. But so I found this guy. He was a 75-year-old guy. He'd been around. I asked him for lessons. He played boogie and blues, and he was a nationally known guy. And I asked him to give me some lessons. He told me no, but he directed me to another guy who was able to give me a start in it. And the journey has gone that way ever since, learning from a couple of players and then becoming a self-sufficient learner after time and learning from whatever was out there. That was really before YouTube was on fire, but just doing what I can.
So when you kind of entered the boogie woogie world, was there a particular performance that stands out to you where you kind of made this decision that this is what you were going to do, but you look at that performance now and go, that was a real transitional performance or moment? Can you talk a little bit about that? And even beyond that moment, were there some things that led up to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think let me speak to that in a broader way because I believe we have more than 5 senses, and sometimes our body or our gut speaks to us, and we have kind of these physical reactions. It may feel like nerves, or sometimes you describe it as butterflies in your stomach or whatever. But for me, I had one of those physical kind of visceral experiences. Went to a concert, saw this guy, Bob Seeley, who was the guy I later tracked down. He was 75 years old. He did a performance among other things that just demonstrated enormous prowess, a tune called the Bumble Boogie, which I play. And I would just remember sitting in the audience and just like getting that almost feeling of flight or fright. I had a physical reaction to it, and it was just from that point on, whatever else I was going to do, I was going to learn how to do this. And my mind was set on it from that moment forward.
So you mentioned the song, you said it was called the Bumble Boogie?
Yeah, it's a hybrid of classical and boogie woogie. So it's not authentic boogie woogie, so to speak. It's a novelty piece, but it's real fast and virtuosic. It's just a showy piece, and it's something I usually play. I know I didn't do it this time, but it seemed like I wanted to fit in with maybe some of the singer-songwriters that you have coming up too. So
yeah, you have the piano right there. Could
Sure.
you give us a little just a sample so
Sure.
people can kind of like get an idea of what that sounds like?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
So this is gonna come through.
Wow. That was incredible, man. You know, we're watching you, and it just, I think everybody gets a little bit floored when they see how easy you make that look. And I think when we caught one of your live streams, boy, it was probably a couple of weeks ago now, and I think one of the co-founders, Eric, posted something or shared your live stream and said, man, look at that left hand. And so we've all been watching your left hand. What's so important about the left hand when it comes to piano playing?
Well, for particularly Boogie Woogie, that's one of the I guess the preeminent caricatures of the style. Boogie Woogie is a very rhythm-filled way of playing piano, and that rhythm is produced by well, people think a lot of finger dexterity in the left hand, but the trick is it's all in the arm. But anyway, it's you have to have a highly developed competence with your left hand in order to play Boogie Woogie. So that's kind of one of its signature components. But you know, it happens over time. It's not something that you can't practice maybe for a couple of days and really get that amped up. But that's easy for me because I've been playing that thing for 15 years, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you.
When musicians and people think about practice and rehearsal, what's like a rehearsal regimen or practice regimen that do you have one that you kind of, it's your go-to? You know, do you have, you know, do you commit to so many hours a week? You know, what is that process like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do try to keep up with the repertoire daily. I don't practice all 7 days, but pretty much daily I try to get on the piano for. I got about a couple hours worth of repertoire, and I try to run through most all of that if I can, but certainly no less than about, it takes me at least 90 minutes to get through what I've got to get through. But some pieces are higher maintenance than others, and some pieces I don't have to practice every day. But I mean, I know you guys are musicians too, so you know, if I spend more than maybe 4 days away from a piece, there are little imperfections that start to slip in there. So that would be the threshold. I have to revisit stuff within a 3-day period at all times.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, you have to keep it sharp. I know for a lot of musicians right now, especially those that, you know, probably play in groups and, you know, ensembles, it's hard, obviously, for us to, or virtually impossible for us to get together. So, you know, you got to keep your chops up in that way. You got to keep running through things, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, that's tough. I mean, I know I have, I guess, that good fortune of being able to do a lot by myself. So, but I have played in ensemble. I have played with drummers quite frequently, and you know, I tried my hand at a female-fronted trio, and it's complicated, as you guys know. It's complicated, especially when you get older. And I'm not, you know, I got a young child and a home life, and it gets even more complicated with those components. So
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine even with going on tour and that sort of thing, it can definitely be complicated.
Yeah.
It I wonder, in terms of the ensemble stuff that you've done,
Yeah.
is that something you plan to do again in the future, or are you really just enjoying your solo career?
Uh, well, it's this just gets down to kind of price points and things. So,
Sure.
but I really enjoy playing with. I really enjoy playing with drummers to kind of enhance the swing of what I do, particularly during those summer gigs. Sometimes, the outdoor type of stuff that goes on, and I enjoy that quite a lot. I'm open and welcome to other things too, but uh, if it's not easy, it's just like I just can't be too much work to do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just at this point, there are so many other things that I have my fingers in, and if it's not easy, it's just I can't do it.
Yeah, no, totally makes
Working in
sense.
a band is tough sometimes, man, dealing with all those different people, all those different schedules and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and getting people on the same wavelength, like like I approach the whole marketing of my music as with a particular pitch. I do New Orleans and swing dance era music, uh, so they know what to expect. So I don't try to take a bunch of requests or something. I just try to specialize. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Um, as you're, in terms of just all of the places that you've performed, do you have a favorite, uh, you know, performance venue that you just love that you want to get back to, or do you have a holy grail that you would like to perform at eventually? I guess it's a two-part question. Where is your
uh,
favorite been, and where do you want to be, you know, this year or
uh,
next year?
that's a great question. I mean, I think I'm like most musicians. I want to play everywhere and anywhere, but I found it frustrating sometimes because I play a part of jazz or a niche of jazz music, and I'd like to be a part of more jazz festivals, but I often get a reply, uh, and they'll say, "Oh, we just do jazz," as if to say what I do isn't jazz. And like, man, what I play is jazz. Like, so uh, in terms of, I'd like to be a part of more of the jazz festival events that are around the area. In terms of my favorite venue, I will say that just last year I did a little mini tour through the Chicago and up into Wisconsin, and I played at a little theater in Wisconsin that was so extraordinarily refurbished and beautiful that it could have been in a Hollywood film. And I'm not remembering the name of that place right now, but it was like an old uh, historic place that they had restored. It was just amazing. So
It's so good that that's still something that people are taking the time to do. It When you were talking about this, and I don't know what the capacity of that was, but there's it's a little club in Detroit called the Willis Show Bar. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a small venue, but just beautifully refurbished and restored, and you step into it and you just kind of feel like you've stepped back in time, literally.
yeah,
Just from the time you walk in the door, you feel a little bit transplanted. Is that kind of the way you felt at that venue?
uh, yes, yeah, it is. Um, but now I haven't been to the Willis Show Bar. I have heard of it, and I've got some musician friends that I've seen them play at it. I wonder if it's like Cliff Bell's. I've played at Cliff Bell's, which is a beautiful place
Yeah.
in kind of a similar way that you were just describing, but it's very cool. I would like to do more. I put together a kind of co-organized a show with three other piano driven acts, and we had a run. We did it as a timeline show from ragtime to rock and roll, and I had a ragtime specialist. I did the 30s and 40s music, and then a couple other people filled out the decades up to 1950. And I'd like to do more of those kinds of shows because people were really receptive to that. But some other incarnation of that, I think, would be very cool.
So yeah, I mean, I love the diversity of that. As you were talking, I was thinking about your music tastes, and obviously what you do is a big part of what you probably enjoy listening to. Outside of the genre, what are your other musical tastes, or are you just strictly I only do jazz and boogie woogie? Or are there like, share with us what are some shockers that people might say, oh my gosh, he likes, Rage Against the Machine or something like that. Are there any musical styles where people would be surprised to know that you listen to?
Yeah, I guess so, because I don't just like this music, and I like all kinds of music. Really, I don't pre-approach listening to anything with, okay, is it in that category? Because if it's not in that category, I'm not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
So I really try to keep an open mind and open ear to any kind of music. I will say that I do tend to I like intimate music, meaning small ensemble or solo. So I'm a big fan of folk music, particularly if somebody does some nice picking on the guitar over it. And I'm a big fan of that style and always looking for inspiration from a touching song. But on the other side of the coin, I take a lot of inspiration from old gospel music, which is very bluesy, particularly black gospel music, like when the Saints version actually was inspired from. There was a gospel group called Clara Ward and the Ward Singers, and she takes a blues take on it. It's kind of got that. That's kind of got that groove. And so I listen to gospel music, old 60s era gospel music. But then, I'm from the 80s. So I went to high school in the 80s. So I listened to old rap hits like Jam on It. And the Beastie Boys were big when I was in high school. And Prince and Michael Jackson and Madonna, all that old stuff, and those one-hit wonders are things that I get a lot of joy from. And our artists today, I'll find one or two that I like. Nora Jones, I saw, was doing live streams, and it was amazing. Obviously, a piano artist is something that captivates me. But yeah, the full spectrum, I would say.
Awesome. I heard Max piped up a little bit because you started talking hip hop. So Max is he's a hip hop artist himself, but also a musician as well, and he's he's a drummer and multi instrumentalist. And speaking of that, do you is there another instrument that you enjoy playing, or are you primarily just focused on the piano?
These days, the piano. I tried years ago. I used to like bluegrass music, and I tried to pick up the 5-string banjo, another instrument that I just found pretty captivating. And bluegrass. There's just tremendous virtuosity among the musicians on those instruments. It's one guy or the other guy is always doing something fast and impressive on their instruments. So, that's something that that appeals to me. But I haven't picked up a banjo or anything like it in years and years, because it's just enough time. I feel like one lifetime isn't enough time to try to play all the great songs that are out there, or to invest in your own effort to writing songs. It's just, time just keeps slipping by.
Absolutely. And if you want to master an instrument, really sticking towards that instrument. I I could say the same thing for my dabbling in the lap steel, which is something that I really I enjoy playing it. I just, I slide back into the guitar,
Yeah.
99.9% of the time, but occasionally the lap steel comes out, and
Yeah.
but like you said, yeah, the time does slip away, and there, on any instrument, there's so much to master and always get better at. So as much as people are probably blown away by your skills, there's a part of you that's always trying to get better, I think, like most musicians.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, I think we all do that. We all inevitably compare ourselves with somebody else who's playing in the genre, and I'm like, I got to get some of what that guy's playing, and I got to get some of what that guy's playing. I mean, I think we all do it. But the guy who taught me, his name was Bob Seeley, the guy who was the inspiration, who played the Bumble Boogie that I referenced earlier on. He said something to me, and he said it to other musicians. It was very profound and wise. And this is, everybody's got something. Not one person has everything. And I found over the course of doing music and I think the music that resonates best with the audience is music that authentically resonates with you. And so in some fashion, it's a reflection of your own persona and your own identity. And if you're playing in that way, you can't be beat, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because what you're doing is you're sharing you, and every one person in the world is unique, and that's powerful. It comes across, I think, as powerful.
I think it's such awesome advice. Totally agree with that. When as a specialist, sort of in the boogie woogie style, obviously there's, I think you've mentioned the word niche, and this sort of this kind of corner of jazz that you inhabit. Obviously you can do a lot of stuff. I mean, you're classically trained. That piece you played just a few minutes ago is mind-bogglingly awesome. That's not even a word, mind-bogglingly, but it was impressive. One of the things we always like to ask people is we're just asking them about their career and where they perform and everything. And I know Max is really interested in this piece of it too. Is just the marketing, because you mentioned marketing earlier, and I think to obviously develop a career and make money at it and make a living, there's a piece of that goes into everything that you do.
Yeah.
And Max is probably going to have some more insights. Max is our marketing director at Grove Studios, and he really does a lot for us in terms of all things marketing, social media, everything.
Yeah.
Do you have any insights about how you market yourself as a musician? Because being a one-man show, you're in charge of that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, I guess, specifics I could go into, but let me just answer that question more broadly by saying it's about making other people's job easy. Put yourself in the shoes of the promoter or the theater owner or uh, the person who's at the helm of doing the concert series. Are you providing them with the material that makes it easy for them to market you, meaning to tell people what to expect, uh, to give them a reason for their audience to come? In other words, why am I going to see this person instead of go down the street and listen to the local folks at the local jazz club or the local bar? No, why is this person different? And so it's really about trying to understand the perspective of the booker. And I think you get a lot of insight if you start booking people yourself. Like for example, my wife and I participate in booking a concert series here in the city of Clawson at the Gazebo, like it's an outdoor summer lawn concert. Well, that comes with it the perspective. Okay, it's got to be family friendly. I can't have people coming in with an act where they might share a curse word or something, because it's going to be families. And it's also got to be something that's not too loud, because it's a small place, it's a small city, and there are going to be old people there as much as there are going to be families, and they don't want to hear that. Uh, it's just what you're dealing with, and also I got to have people that are going to play songs that they're going to recognize, so they can get into the show. So if you're strictly a singer songwriter and that's all you do, that's wonderful. I don't want to detract from it, but you have to understand that as a booker for that audience, I'm not going to be given the pat on the back for booking you from that audience. You see, so um, in terms of marketing, I think that's the biggest thing. Just try to step into the shoes of the booker, wherever you're marketing yourself, and make their job easy.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And just making it easy. And that's not even just for like booking, like also with the fans, you know what I mean? Making it easy for fans
Yeah.
to find you, making it easy for fans to be able to stream your music,
Yeah.
for example, like having music across platforms so people can choose, this is the platform I like to use. So, oh, your music is on there. Great. So I think that's a huge point. Is there anything that you've done specifically like on, YouTube or social media to help you get all those views? Because I know a lot of artists are stuck with just getting, 100 views on their page when they post something on Facebook, and they just don't really understand how to get millions of views on their music, so is there any insight that you might be able to give on that?
I let me say this. I think the insight I might have to offer is probably dated, because I know there are people out there now that are leveraging YouTube in ways that I haven't kept up with. So let me just say that up front. Uh, Having said that, also, uh, some of the videos that I have the most views on are not the pieces of music that go over the best in a live performance. Uh, so what I mean by that is that some of the videos that have the most views are some of the iconic blues things that you're deliberately playing in a more virtuosic way, or something impressive. But if you do that, one piece after another in front of an audience, they're just like, okay, this guy's, it's, uh, I heard a great description of that kind of a approach to performance this was an NPR story, but they were interviewing the new owner of the Blue Note label. And he was talking about the difference between selfish music versus generous music. And selfish music is the person that gets up there and just shows off one piece after the other. And it's just all about that person. It's not in service to the people that are coming out to listen to you, as opposed to generous music, which is the music. So it's probably the selfish type of music that I get the most views on in the YouTube world. But the generous music in that way, not as much. And I can't name any one thing that I've done other than just try to put myself out there. So if there's some kind of formula that made it successful, I haven't identified it, and I know, like I said, today there are people out there that are leveraging YouTube even better than I am. Like there's a woman out there that I was just watching, and I was watching it because of the quality of the sound that she has. And she has done what I've done actually here, which is I mic'd up the piano like you would have the pianos mic'd in a studio, and she just gets the highest quality sound out of that. I mean, I was for years just doing it with my phone and not thinking in those terms, but there are people that are out there, it's like they rent a room, they rent a high quality piano, they mic the piano, they have all this tech around it, and they're producing high quality music in their YouTube video, and they're getting the views as a result of it. And I just wasn't thinking down that path as I was doing things. And if I was to start fresh again today, I would do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great point for sure. Is like the quality of content and how engaging is the content, you know. I think that's a huge, that makes a huge difference, you know. And I know that's why you've been successful, because, you know, as we saw in your live stream today, your content, your piano is amazing and it's very engaging. You know, people, it's crazy watching your fingers just go that fast. It's hard to even understand how that's possible, you know, honestly. But so just, we really appreciate you coming on the page. So thanks again for doing that performance, man.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything you did. This went real smooth. I think I talked to you about having an experience that wasn't smooth a few times as we've transitioned to being online. But you guys did a great job. Thank you.
Hey, we appreciate that. And, you know, like you, we want to make it easy for the artist, because you're taking time out of your day to share your music with us and on our page. And we definitely appreciate that. I know that we would love to, you know, witness you live at some point, and maybe that's in some distant unknown future. But do you have any plans later in the year that you could share with us, or any, you know, music releases that you could share with the audience? And if not, just share where people can find your music. I know we talked about YouTube, you're on YouTube, but what are some upcoming plans?
Yeah, I mean, I've had so many gigs that have been, you know, canceled. You know, my income, like so many other musicians, has just been decimated by this thing. And I know there are people that are dealing with, you know, I'm not working in a hospital and I'm not sick, so I don't want to complain too much. But this is really, I feel like it's got to stop. But just to share one thing, I think this is far enough down the road that I am playing in the Michigan Jazz Festival. It's a big one of the big jazz festivals in the area. That's the third weekend of July. I want to say it's July. It's a Sunday in the piano room. So I hope people will remember and take the time. I hope people will follow my Facebook page, the Boogie Woogie Kid. That's where they can always find out where I'm playing next. But at this point, I'm worried that the whole summer might be gone, because I've got quite a few things that I was looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that's the case with so many of us. We were just about to release a 5-song EP, and we're trying to figure out how to do that online. So, and then lining up gigs for the summer festivals, it's going to be a real challenge. You know, and that's part of the reason we're trying to take this online a little bit more and do things like this. And we appreciate your support in this, and we encourage anybody that's still watching, and we've got quite a few people still watching right now. There's a link in the post to donate to the live stream, and I'm sure Matthew would appreciate that. He's an incredible performer, just sharing what he does best. Likely he does other things well too, but the piano is amazing, man, and we're just grateful that you shared that with us today. I think you brightened a lot of people's Friday afternoons.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, Max, unless you have anything else, we'll take it out and let Matthew get to the rest of his evening.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks again, man. It was amazing. Everyone was amazed by your talent. So would love to have you back again in the future, man. For sure.
Thank you so much.
Most definitely. Yeah. On behalf of Grove Studios and the rest of the team, ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Ball, check him out. Facebook, the Boogie Woogie Kid.
Thank you. Well done, guys.
Have a great Friday, everybody.
Bye-bye.